In the early 18th century, the game that would one day become America's pastime was officially named baseball. With the Knickerbocker set of rules, it was played in... I'm sorry, the teleprompter must be wrong. No, just checked with my fact checker. He says it's correct. It was played in England. In fact, baseball as we know it now has gone through a lot of changes over the years. Early variations on the name include goal ball, stool ball, round ball, and my personal favorite, fetch catch. Really wish fetch catch stayed around. It's just so much more elegant. Yeah, we love playing a good game of fetch catch after one too many beers and all the dads are stumbling around, and then they regale us with their wonderful stories of how they could have gone pro if it weren't for their arm injury. I swear I would have gone pro. But the rules have stayed semi-consistent over the years after the change from the Knickerbocker rule set to the Cartwright rule set, which is the exact same rule set, but one just has a better beard. The majority of rules changed from the original are mostly quality of life improvements. Pitchers are allowed to throw overhand, catchers can now use mitts instead of trying to field a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with their bare hands. Bases are now larger so that fewer players get their ankles crushed after they run through first. Yikes. And pitchers have a timer to keep the game moving. As you've surely guessed by now, I love a good game of baseball. Emphasis on good, which is really unfortunate because I root for the Reds, who have been painfully mid recently. Even though I haven't watched too many games recently, baseball viewership has been up, most likely due to the rule changes that make it easier to watch on TV and a change in the MLB marketing strategy. Have you seen the anime MLB commercial? As it turns out, the US of A is not the only country on Earth, just checking with my fact checker. News to me. The USA is not the only country on Earth. And surprisingly enough, America is not the only country that likes to watch a good game of baseball. In 2024, the Japanese market exploded, and the MLB saw a double-digit increase in viewership. I don't know what that means. It could be 99% increase in viewership, it could be 10%. My money's on 10. With the majority of that viewership going to the LA Dodgers, most likely because of the signing of Shohei Ohtani. To capitalize on this viewership, the MLB has released ads in an anime art style, mostly appealing to the Japanese fan base they're accruing. And let me tell you, it's ticking some boxes for little old me. We got Shohei Ohtani throwing a ball into outer space. This guy, whose team I don't watch and whose name I do not know, is using the recently unbanned Summon a Dragon slider. Aaron Judge gets in a swing-off against a giant stone golem. Maybe it's just fun. Maybe they're doing it just to pander to their new Japanese audience. They did a collab with Demon Slayer, for goodness sake. But it's fun. Baseball is fun again. I don't trust it. Global advertising, an emphasis on short-form social media content, rule changes, and torpedo bats are all great, but why make the change? Don't fix something if it's not broken. Where did this all stem from? What's got the MLB scared? It's not like the MLB was hurting for views. I mean, the jump from 9 million to 14 million could be explained by the teams that were in the World Series just had a larger following. Though a larger following of 5 million is a little difficult to explain. The mustache is back in fashion, so maybe there's a subconscious yearning for the mustachioed players of yore. But maybe, just maybe, they realized they needed to adapt or die. Hopefully, I don't have to tell you what banana ball is. Hopefully, you've seen Reese Alexides hit a one-piece celly. Hopefully, you've seen Ty Jackson bust a move. Hopefully, you've been blessed to watch KJ, that lovable little scamp. But if you haven't, thank you so much for letting me share my special interest with you. This is banana ball. It may look like baseball, but it's a touch different. You see the man in the yellow hat? No, not that one. There you go. His name is Jesse Cole. Old King Cole was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he. He called for a bat and he called for a ball in a new sport he made, you see. For many years now, baseball has grown stagnant. The rules rarely change beyond if a bat has to be bat-shaped, and while Old King Cole loved baseball, he knew it could be better. Now, I'm going to run down the rules just so we're all on a level playing field, but pay attention, because I'm only going to do this once. In Banana Ball, you do not win by scoring the most runs, you win by scoring the most points. Getting a runner back to home plate is not a point. When you win the inning, you win the point. The team that scores more runs in an inning earns 1 point that inning. During the final inning, every run counts as a point. There's a strict 2-hour time limit, with no new innings being played after 1 hour and 50 minutes have passed. If the game is tied at the end of the time limit, a 3-round showdown is used to decide the winner rather than extra innings. Rules for the offense: there are no walks, only sprints. After 4 balls, the batter does not walk, they sprint around the bases. The fielding team must have every player except the pitcher and catcher touch the baseball before a batter can be put out. Unlike baseball, you can steal first. On any pitch, a batter can attempt to steal the first base. There is no bunting allowed, no stepping outside of the batter's box. If the batter steps out of the batter box during their at-bat section, it results in a strike. At any time, a team can substitute their golden batter into a spot in the lineup to create their best matchup in a critical moment. There are absolutely, positively no mound visits from coaches or other players allowed. And here's where it gets really interesting. Fans are a part of the game. At any point in time during the game, a fan can challenge the ruling of the umpire. Okay, so why did I just tell you all that? Rules don't have to be dead. I mean, look at World of Warcraft or League of Legends or Magic the Gathering. When new cards are introduced, when characters have their abilities boosted or nerfed, that's a change to the rules of the game. And it goes even further beyond just changing the size of the bases or pitcher timers. When a map has an overhaul of its design, that changes how the game is played. You can't do certain routes anymore. Your muscle memory for how to get around this corner the fastest no longer applies. But that doesn't make it stop being the same game. Sometimes the rule changes work, and sometimes they don't, and they need to be patched out. But giving Mr. Fantastic an extra bounce during his ult doesn't kill everything that Marvel Rivals is. In the same way, changing the rules so that fielders can use mitts to catch balls that are coming straight at their face 90 miles an hour off the bat doesn't destroy baseball. It just gives old men more reason to yell at the guys who are 10 times more athletic than they ever were and call them a bunch of Nancy boys. While Banana Ball is more than a little different from baseball, I definitely think there's another world where, if the rules were allowed to change and update, that Banana Ball would be the natural evolution of baseball. I don't think it's a far stretch at all. And in my opinion, Banana Ball has fixed a lot of issues. It takes a lot of luck out of the game. One really good inning doesn't secure the entire game for the team. No, everybody has to be playing consistently at their very best if they want to win. Now, like I said, I like sports, but there's nothing worse in the wide world of sports than going to a game, paying $30, $40 for a ticket if you're going cheap, driving an hour to the stadium, having to deal with parking, having to walk to and from, dealing with traffic on the way there and back, and then the fans, overpriced food. And by the end of the day, if you're going cheap, you've spent at least $100, and then who's to say your team wins? And if they don't win, well, you just paid $100 to be disappointed, if not more. At the end of the day, sports are a show. Not in the same way going to the theater is a show, though they also get called Nancy boys quite a bit, but that's for a different reason. You're paying to go watch people at the peak of their craft do something really, really well. And if your favorite team is having an off year or just an off game, you've just paid to be cheated. You might as well be a Browns fan at that point. Banana Ball understands that it's a show. In fact, Jesse Cole stated in an interview that his inspiration for the rules of Banana Ball came from the idea of a late night game and the bases are loaded and your favorite team is up by 1 point. The opposing team swings, cracks the ball off into the audience, and a fan makes the final catch, getting that final out and saving the day for their team. When the fans are having fun, everyone is having fun. And happy fans lead to a successful sport. Even if you aren't familiar with Banana Ball, there's a good chance you have seen this setup. The camera is at such an angle where you can see the batter, the catcher, the umpire, shortstop, and second base, as well as an outfielder. From here, they proceed to do a fun dance to get the audience riled up and happy and excited to be there. And more than one of these clips has gone viral on social media. Sometimes even the umpire gets involved, and it's these little gimmicks that landed Banana Ball on ESPN The Ocho on August 1st of 2024. After premiering on The Ocho, comparisons began flying around. It's like baseball, but a little silly. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. Take the family, have a few laughs, and then fail to think about them again until they pop up as a joke on Futurama. And then think, that could be fun. Fun evening with the family. Are they still touring? As I hope the explanation of the rules earlier showed, Banana Ball is not just a cheap imitation of baseball. It's a sport in and of itself that competes with baseball. In fact, Jesse Cole even said he wanted Banana Ball to be the UFC to baseball's boxing. The same type of sport, just very different in its execution. So why do it? Why have the players do their silly little dances and lip syncing and doing all the TikTok trends? Well, it's actually very, very clever, and I'll get to that in just a minute. But first, to fully understand it, we have to talk about two things that are in no way the same. Professional wrestling and Kayfabe. I hate that I have to break it to you this way, but professional wrestling is not real. I know. It hurt me too when I first learned. Professional wrestling is more akin to the Indiana Stunt Show Spectacular at Disney than it is to real competitive wrestling. Yes, it is still real wrestling, it just depends on how you want to define real wrestling, shall we say. It's a stunt show that takes Aristotle's 6 elements of a drama and turns 4 of them up to 11, while putting things like dialogue and theme into a nice little box underneath the ring in favor of catchphrases like, "You can't see me," and tombstone pile drivers. Despite professional wrestling being around for long enough for my great-grandmother to be a fan and root for the heroes and boo for the heels, there were still those kids when I was in school swearing that professional wrestling was real. A huge part of this is something called Kayfabe, the idea of keeping the fiction no matter what. To those who choose to believe the fiction that professional wrestling is real, breaking Kayfabe is not just breaking the story, it's breaking reality. When Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash came in for a bro hug during the curtain call incident, reality was broken. Mortal enemies should not be coming up and embracing each other. No. Not in my Christian Minecraft server. While the exact numbers aren't publicized, the WWE gets tens of thousands of applications every year to be part of their organization. And these applicants must have the exact right amount of jock athleticism and theater kid panache to have mass appeal. So the time comes. You have your fight choreography memorized, you have the perfect comebacks for when they say their line, you come out into the ring, everything goes perfectly, but the crowd just isn't reacting well to your persona. Maybe Charlie Smith, the everyman wrestler, just wasn't what America was looking for at that point in time. Well, now you have to think fast. There are thousands of people behind you vying for your spot. This has to be fixed quick. Suddenly, it comes to you. A persona shift. Something about you that nobody else has ever done before. Thinking about who you are personally, the thought hits you. You've always been pretty good at archery, and that could make for some spectacular entrances, shooting the arrow across, ziplining into the ring. Taking inspiration from Hawkeye and Green Arrow, you throw on a mask and a black cape, you become the Hood. Known for swooping in at the last second to save the good guy from the heel. An original idea? Kinda. Marketable? Oh yeah. I'm seeing storylines going back to the older days of wrestling when people were dying left, right, and center and coming back from the dead. Maybe the Hood comes in to save the good guy and accidentally messes up. He kills the heel. I thought he was supposed to be a good guy. How did this happen? But no, he was framed. And we'll do like 7 or 8 matches to... Anyway, I haven't really watched a lot of modern wrestling. I only know like the old stuff when more fantastical stuff was happening. Anyway, but you get the idea. See, wrestling is very interesting because The organization does not market you. You market yourself, and then the organization you're with markets that they have you. Just think of like any time The Rock has come back to do a match. They advertise that The Rock is coming back, or like Jake Paul or whoever. They've marketed themselves as someone people want to see, and then the wrestling organization promotes, we have The Rock, we have one of the Paul brothers. In professional wrestling, kayfabe isn't there just to keep the fiction going. It's a tool of marketing.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Kayfabe is also a marketing tool used in something that has nothing to do with wrestling. K-pop. Y'all seen K-pop Demon Hunters? What am I saying? Of course you have. If you haven't, you'd be watching that instead of this weird think piece on how to save professional sports. And since I know you've all seen K-pop Demon Hunters, think of the Saja Boys. Each of the Saja Boys represents a stereotype used time and time again as their front-facing personas. There's Mystery, Romance, Baby, Abby, and Jinu. Jinu is the obvious exception there, but that's only because he has character and plot development. Oh. Abby is also an exception because Abby just so happens to be a name, but that's more of a happy accident than anything because of the abs. K-pop companies use these stereotypes as a marketing tool to appeal to a wider range of audience members. Don't like a guy who's always in the gym and cares more about his physical appearance than he cares about you? Well, sounds like you'd be into romance, Sasha. Perhaps you like little guys who are just adorable and can never do anything wrong. Could I interest you in baby Sasha? The entire K-pop industry is full of kayfabes of their very own. The public personas the talent puts forth as a concerted marketing effort to make themselves seem more available, more appealing. And these kayfabes are closely monitored. A lot of idols aren't allowed to make music outside of their own company, which is not terribly abnormal for music. That's a whole thing. But the idols themselves are not allowed to smoke or drink or pick their nose. Oftentimes they're not even allowed to have relationships that are public, lest the 30-year-old incel who lives in his mother's basement in Iowa, who never showers, no longer thinks he has a chance with the 20-something Korean girl who's in the best physical shape of her life. Can you believe she has a boyfriend? That whore. There's also the sparkly outfits and stage spectacle and unexpected team-ups, but that's true in pretty much any theatrical performance. Kayfabe is a marketing tool, a way to communicate with your fans and make them want to watch. And it is something that the team over at Banana Ball has done exceptionally well. Banana Ball, the spoof game, the joke game, was originally aired on the CW. From there, it moved to The Ocho, the sports channel for people who don't like sports. And there sat Banana Ball. Between the World Dog Surfing Championships and Game 3 of the playoffs of Roof Ball, exactly where they needed to be to not be taken seriously. See, the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB are not the only major league sports organizations. Oh, you hear that? It's the rest of the world yelling at their screens that this dumb American doesn't know about the most important sport of all. This is an American channel, by God. And I'll be talking about the sports that God actually likes. In England, you're the ones that came up with the term soccer, so I don't want to see any comments that are like, actually, bruv, it's called football, footy. God save the monarch, T. Opposing the MLB was the National Association of Baseball Players, the American Association, the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, and a bunch of other leagues, including a bunch of other leagues. But all these other leagues petered out, leaving the MLB as the main baseball association in the US. There is a long history of other sports organizations petering out. There is also a long history, maybe kinda sorta, of some leagues leveraging their money and power to peter some other leagues out. If you get my meaning as a joke, not admissible in court. In Minecraft, please don't sue me. I have 12 cents to my name. Please. I mean, it's understandable. You want to be the only game in town, so you do what you need to do to make sure you are the only game in town. But you know what's a bad look? Killing a joke. And Banana Ball is the biggest joke of them all. Aired on the same station as the Arrowverse, and then moving to The Ocho, the joke ESPN spin-off based off of a joke in the hit movie Dodgeball.
To this year's annual Las Vegas International Dodgeball Open, brought to you exclusively here on ESPN 8, The Ocho.
Not a joke. That throwaway joke in the movie Dodgeball, that's where The Ocho comes from. Fun fact. Point and laugh, everybody. Point and laugh at the freaks who think they can dethrone baseball. And thus, the kayfabe begins. As I said earlier, most people know the Savannah Bananas due to their social media strategy, taking the masculine theater that is sports and making it approachable to everybody. It's anecdotal evidence, but I still think it rings true. When planning out this video, I was talking to some of my friends, and they think it's hard just to enter the world of sports due to the high admission floor. And to get on a deeper level, you have to start learning the players' names, their stats, you have to be willing to yell at the officiants that your grandmother could have made a better call. And some of us just aren't that confrontational, okay? And then you have to get into the minutia. This pitcher's really good, but he has no idea how to pitch to a lefty. This player hurt his ankle last game, let's see how it affects him this game. Why are they putting those Ks up on the scoreboard? Oh dear God, they put up another K. I don't know what's going on, but they really need to change something before they put that third K up. Banana Ball takes the level of knowledge needed to enjoy the game and puts it on the ground. Don't know how to play? Who cares? Just watch the silly boys do their silly boy dances and their silly boy trends. They're putting the show back in baseball. And those dances and trends are all a part of the kayfabe. It's important to note that the guys playing Banana Ball are not major leaguers. Most of them come from the minor leagues or they're retired professional baseball players, but most of the time they are not of the level to play in the pros. If they were, they'd be getting those $1 million deals. No, these guys don't play for the $1 million deals. They play for the love of the game and to entertain the fans. And I'm sure being paid to play a baseball-like game doesn't hurt much either. But because they're not major leaguers, this solves a crucial element of what's wrong with professional sports. The ego. When you're just out and out better at this game than everybody else. You get deals, you get contracts, you get sponsorships. You make millions of dollars for being really, really good. And with that superiority complex comes ego. It no longer becomes playing for the love of the game or the fans themselves, not letting them down, and becomes more about the self and what it can get me and what it can do for me. And when the ego and $1 million contracts are no longer on the table, the players can play more into the kayfabe and make it more true to themselves. This is where the K-pop personas come into play. Since it's a game that anyone can enjoy, why not market yourself to everybody? Now, usually this comes with the caveat of when you market yourself to everybody, you market yourself to nobody. But there's a subtle difference when it comes to a team of players. When you have a large number of players, each one representing your organization, each one of them has a personality and a draw of their own. If you want romantic Saja, you're probably rooting for the pretty boy KJ. Ryan Cox does the best trick plays. Reese went all out for One Piece night and does anime celebrations, or as they call them, cellies. And he does One Piece eye black. Dakota Albertson plays on stilts, and that's just a lot of fun. And that's the key, isn't it? Fun. Not just fun for the select few who have chosen to devote themselves to the game, but fun for everybody. Call them a joke, call them what you will, and that allows Banana Ball to fly under the radar. They're not a threat. They're not anything that the MLB needs to be worried about. Meanwhile, they amass fans and sell out stadiums. 2020. In just a few years, a game arose to rival America's pastime. A game not designed just to be watched, but a game to be enjoyed. A game that has made baseball reconsider how they view their fans. No more resting on their laurels. Banana Ball has become a viral hit Not just because of their viral dances and marketing stunts, but because of their ingenuity, their drive, their respect, teamwork, patience, all the things sports are supposed to teach people. Leaving the ego behind and loving the game for the game. Banana Ball has out-baseballed baseball. And I think baseball is all the better for it. Now, I didn't just make this video to glaze Banana Ball, though I have done quite a bit of that. But as a general sports fan, I want to improve sports. And I think the only way we can do that is through competition. There it is, another tenet of sports that has been sorely lacking in the last few years. With a lack of competition, major sports associations have just been chasing numbers. They haven't been making the crucial changes that need to be made to improve their sports as a whole. Banana Ball gives us something of a blueprint to work off of to introduce new sports that can compete with our major associations. For this section, I'll be mainly focusing on football. Basketball is in a sorry state as is, and ain't no way I'm wasting my time researching soccer. To start off, there are a lot of issues with the NFL. There's a serious lack of care for players after they've left the NFL. There's fan behavior, CTE. There's a serious lack of accountability among talented players, and that's just to name a few. But there has yet to be enough mainstream pushback against the NFL for them to do anything about it. In fact, the NFL has actively suppressed research on CTE. Just Google voodoo medicine CTE and you'll go down a whole rabbit hole of suppressed information about the topic. And of course, the NFL was there to patch over that little rabbit hole with their own research. And as is the thesis of this video, they don't have a reason to stop. They're still making money hand over fist. So it's time to introduce the Banana Ball of football. Something to compete with them. Something to draw away some of their viewership so that they might make some actual change. Hitting them where it hurts, right in the pocketbook. Now I, in my big, beautiful brain, began to think. It hurt very bad and there was a lot of smoke in the room. But after a quick trip to the mechanic, I got my oil changed and I was back up and running. And as a result of all that thinking, I had an idea. See, in the game of football, there are only a few positions that anyone really cares about. And that's the people that touch the ball and the ones that score the points. Defensive line? Never heard of them. See, I think this is a real problem. When there are only a few positions people care about, the people that are the best at those positions get all the praise. And with the praise comes bigger contracts, and with bigger contracts comes more sponsorships, bigger ego, and there we come back to our issue again. Ego. There's such a lack of sportsmanship, of teamwork in these teams because everyone's out for their own glory. That doesn't sound like sportsmanship at all to me. So I developed a new game, very similar to football in many ways, but taking the idea of scoring from fantasy football. That way the entire team matters towards the end goal. And then a friend of mine reminded me that rugby exists, and then I realized I'd wasted a couple days. Rugby really is the perfect sport for us to use for this. It shares a lot of similar tenets with football, the shape of the field, the shape of the ball, field goals. In fact, football originated as a spin-off of sorts of rugby. In the mid-19th century, when the rules of football were being formalized, they used a lot of the base tenets from rugby. Though for some reason, rugby never really took off in America. Now, I do have a theory for why that is, but we'll talk about that a little later. Though they do derive from the same athletic evolutionary line, I do think rugby is foreign enough to seem exotic to the American viewer. Throwing backwards, that's barbaric. Well, how do they know what play they're gonna run if they don't stop and talk it out? But in terms of rules and how the game is played, we've got that down pat. So let's go down the rest of our Banana Ball blueprint to see what steps comes next. As I said earlier, certain athletic organizations have allegedly leveraged their power and weight to quash certain other competitive groups. So to fly under the radar just a little bit, we need to seem unthreatening. And I think I know just the person to help us out with that. You may recognize this lovely lady from the 2024 Olympics, where the US women's team placed second. This is Alona Mayer. She was something of a breakout star on the women's rugby team. And as of the recording of this, she has 5.4 million followers on Instagram. And she will be our secret weapon. I bet you thought I was going to recommend having a men's team, didn't you? Chauvinist. Bet you never even thought Dr. Pepper could be a woman, huh? You disgust me. As unfortunate as it may be, women's sports just don't draw the same crowds that men's sports do. But we, as the clever little marketers we are, will use this to our advantage, and thus the kayfabe begins. At this stage, we must accept that we aren't going to be taken seriously right away. We act as though we're a small movement, live streaming our games on social media and quietly building up a fan base with all the gusto of a Marvel movie doing a girls get it done scene, playing into the feminism of girls can do anything boys can do, if not better. Inspire all the little girls out there that were told they can't play football because football is a boys' sport. And if we play our cards right, we'll hopefully end up on some of those alpha male podcasts. And there's nothing an alpha male podcaster hates more than women, specifically women who can beat them up. This is the first stage where Alona Mayer comes in. She will be our poster child, the muscular woman who can beat you up and steal your girl, who has stated in the past that she wants to be an inspiration to young girls. With this move, we open ourselves up to the relatively untapped market in sports. Women, creating a space for women who always wanted to be involved in sports, but were relegated to the cheer squad. Because, say it with me now, sports are for boys. Speaking of boys, we don't want to cut our market in half. And there's one part of Banana Ball that I have not touched on just yet. Teams. As I'm sure you're aware, given that I've devoted most of the video to them at this point, the Savannah Bananas are the main team in Banana Ball, though you can't have a game with only one team. As such, Banana Ball has expanded over the last few years, but originally they had one other team, the Visitors. Now I don't really know what happened to the Visitors. Maybe they retired them. But the Visitors were to serve as the away team, the Washington Generals to the Harlem Globetrotters. As of now, there are 5 other teams in the Banana Ball League. There's the Party Animals, the first after the Visitors, the first team to be added, and they're more of the chaotic, kooky party animal, hence the name, side of sports. There's also the Firefighters. The Firefighters play big into the motif of the Firefighters, and it's an homage to the original players in the major leagues, back when Firefighters were also part-time professional league baseball players. They're also the Texas Tailgaters, playing into the Southern country aesthetic. As the name would suggest, they are big stereotypes of Texas. They have a grill on the field, they have a jug band that plays along with them, and all their walk-up music is country music, Southern themed. As for the other two, we don't know a lot about them yet. The Loco Coco Nuts and the Indianapolis Clowns were actually revealed as I was making this video. The Loco Coco Nuts are a Pacific Island Hawaiian themed team. I'm not exactly sure what that will entail, but I'm very interested to find out. As for the Clowns, well, the Clowns was actually one of the teams, remember when I said and other organizations. They were part of those segregated organizations. I think this is a really, really interesting scheme that Banana Ball is throwing into their organization, reclaiming something that was part of a not so good time in baseball history. You'll have to forgive me going back to Glazed Banana Ball more. Those two teams dropped while I was in the process of making the video, and it's really cool. These teams in the organization fall into our K-pop marketing strategy very, very nicely. If you're a sports fan who likes the kind of chaotic bad boy persona, you're going for the Party Animals. If you're a proud country boy and a southerner, you're probably going for the Texas Tailgaters. Me personally, I'll probably start rooting for the Indianapolis Clowns for no reason. These teams, the Texas Tailgaters, the Savannah Bananas, the Indianapolis Clowns, all play into the regionality and identity of teams that major sports organizations have been using for years. Ask anyone who kind of passively follows sports what their favorite football team is. They're probably going to say the one from their state or one of the neighboring states. If you're from Michigan, you're probably going to be either following the Packers or the Lions. If you're from Texas, you're following the Cowboys, and there is no ands, ifs, or buts about it. If you're from Cincinnati, you're following the Bengals. If you're from Cleveland, you're following the Bengals. Ooh, 2 digs at the Browns. Who am I? I mean, you don't really have a winning team to choose from either way, but at least it's not the Browns. The teams themselves are overarching archetypes of professional sports, and we need to use that in our new sports organization. Oops, somebody stop me, I'm about to engage in stereotype. Woo-hoo. If our main team, our Savannah Bananas, if you will, are going to be feminist icons, then our opposing team not only needs to combat them on the field, but also in ideology. Our opposing team will be more in touch with their feminine side. Not saying they'll play in bikinis or anything, though that's not a bad idea. But perhaps they'll wear pink, or have like a full face of makeup, and then after the game, before the post-game interviews, they rush back to the locker room to reapply, or come with drippy makeup because of all the sweat during the game. Hey, if Rhea Ripley and Ilona Mayer have proved anything, it's that a lot of dudes are really into the muscle mothers. Oh, come on. People I know in real life watch this channel. I'm not just going to give them an audio clip of me saying muscle mommies. They have to work for that. Dang it. The idea here is not to appeal to men who like watching sweaty women get all up on each other, or to appeal to the podcast bro who know exactly what a woman should look like, but rather to show what different kinds of femininity means. And they'll never get called Nancy boys. We have our sport. We have our market. We have our way to fly under the radar. But what are we going to do to make people want to watch? How are we going to make this a fan-first experience? Well, I have two thoughts on that. The first one is to use the power of social media. Not only in the banana ball sense of dancing and TikTok trends and whatnot, but for better accessibility. Cable television is dying, and ain't no way I'm going to be selling any rights to any streaming service. So how do we improve our availability without relying on other people to broadcast us? You're watching YouTube right now, so I really don't need to tell you that the indie production value has skyrocketed in recent years. I suggest that to improve availability of our sport, we live stream it. Fans can come to Twitch, they can go to YouTube, they can go to Facebook if they still have a Facebook, or log into their Facebook that they haven't logged into since, 2018? And by live streaming for free, we can get our sport in front of eyes that would never have purchased a ticket. This is how we stay independent and keep in control of how our new sport is viewed. In addition, those people that want to support us can subscribe or throw a few bucks our way, but that's not the point. The point is to build up a fan base with free availability. And then once we have a large enough fan base, we can start selling tickets and doing all the normal things sports do to make their money. As for broadcast, well, I've got a pretty robust team here with me at FaceShift HQ. And if you couldn't tell by my excellent camera quality and impeccable editing skills, I know my way around a camera. As for spectacle, we can't rely on incredible plays being made every single game. Unfortunately, every game can't be the greatest game that has ever been played. Fortunately, if we look at our blueprint, we have an answer to this. See, after every couple touchdowns, we gotta Americanize it somehow, we take a pause. And this time we let the ladies take a breather, swap out players, and then it's the job of the scoring team to put on a performance of some kind. This is where we'll get our short form content from. Looking at our blueprint, they could do a TikTok trend. They could do a little dance, perhaps taking inspiration from the haka. No, we're not going to do that. Nope. No, that has more cultural significance than just a fun little thing to do before the All Blacks game. So go ahead and cut that out. Cut that out of the video. Do it, please, cut that. This will be the moment to collect content for short form video. Let the girls show off some of their personality. Bring a little more of themselves into the game. Entertain the fans. And most importantly, for an American audience, give them a break. My theory for why certain sports perform better in America is breaks. Football has downs, baseball has the amount of time it takes for the pitcher to get the ball back and prepare for the next pitch. Basketball has whatever it is they do, probably the amount of time it takes for someone to get back up after faking their fourth knee injury of the game. In the US, there is a strong tie between watching the game and doing something else. That's why tailgates are so popular before, during, and sometimes even after the game. Plenty of people go to the stadium and then don't go inside, watch it on their TV outside, and enjoy a hot dog. Go grab a beer, and of course, complain about the game. All in the time that it takes to get set up for the next action, the next play. While I don't believe people's attention spans are shortening, especially Americans, I do think there is a strong tie between the popularity of a sport and the breaks. Giving the audience time to go get another refreshment or discuss how the game is going and how they could have done so much better, I'm sure. And it's for that reason that I think breaks for dances and lip syncing would be a welcome addition to our Americanized rugby league that we're building. So, we have our framework. We have a sport to grow and compete with the big dogs. But why? As I stated at the top of this video, as a person, I like sports. As a human, I dislike what sports have become. Another multi-billion-dollar industry built on the backs of players who are thrown out like week-old garbage the second they're no longer useful. A multi-billion-dollar industry that's always hungry for that next dollar. It's a trading card game where the richest kid gets the best cards and destroys everybody, and then once the new cards come out and the old cards aren't as good anymore, they throw them away. After all, there's always another one to replace it. We've lost what makes sports fun to watch. We've lost sportsmanship. And I think the only way to get that back is by playing the game. Building something so powerful, built by the will of the people, that we can force the bullies to play our game. The game that's not on the field, but in the hearts and minds of the fans. Only then can we force accountability and create a game that not only cares about the most important pieces, but the entire team as a whole. Forcing organizations to treat their players as real people, and not just throwing them away once they're no longer useful. Developing solutions to major problems like CTE and the steroid epidemic that is plaguing players. To win this game, we have to out-sportsmanship the sportsman. And I think that is the only way to save professional sports. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and comment down below what was your sport in high school. Or if you're still playing a sport, what is that sport? Me? It's archery. Yeah, I know, kind of lame, but I can shoot an arrow real good. I also did swim. Anyway, thank you for watching. Okay, bye.